All right, Munchausen syndrome by proxy. I know that I sort of alluded to this a little bit in one of the previous course classes, but this is where a parent or a caregiver either exaggerates or fabricates signs of an illness. And it can even go as far as a parent causing an illness. So this is a form of an abuse in that sometimes children who may be developmentally delayed, parents who have this syndrome, and this is a mental illness that the parent has, will inflict harm on a child and make them sick for whatever reason or in various ways this happens. There are times when children have died because of this, and this is suspected when a child is proclaimed to be sick, to have all of these problems going on, and as soon as that child's admitted to the hospital and put under strict observation and tight controls, the child gets better. And the child goes home, gets sick again, comes back, gets better, goes home, and that's usually a really good indication that this may be going on. So certain factors, this is what I was alluding to earlier, younger parents, single parents, unrelated partners, so there's not an emotional connection there. Low self-esteem, poor parenting knowledge, all of these things, of course, play a role, making higher risk. Age of the child, newborn to 1 year, okay, so when the child's crying. And then, like I mentioned, physically disabled or developmentally delayed. Children that are hyperactive, so the older child that's hyperactive and are at risk. Premature, simply because they may have delays and things like that as well. Okay, sexual abuse, I'm not going to belabor very much, but there are certain instances where you will have the awful occasion of identifying a child that has been the victim of sexual abuse, and this is oftentimes someone that the child knows, and that has over time developed a relationship with that child and developed trust with that child. There's it's across all ages, and it's awful, to say the least. Typically, the abuser is a man, although it can be anyone. But in the overwhelming majority of sexual abuse cases, it is a man that inflicts the abuse. However, it can be a woman as well. So I don't want you to think that women are never the abuser. It affects all socioeconomic backgrounds. It is often adults who are the abuser, although it can be other children. So an older child inflicting abuse on a younger child, and typically that older child has been abused as well. So nursing care of the maltreated child. So we have to identify these situations quickly. We have to follow our gut instincts. We have to take a detailed history. Okay, it's our job to take that history and to thoroughly document the physical exam. I can remember being a fairly new nurse in the ICU, and we had a child that was admitted for physical abuse. And when we did the physical exam, the nurse that I was training under, we consequently discovered that child had been sexually abused as well. It's ingrained in my memory, and thankfully that child ended up being okay, and we were able to, that child was able to get out of that situation and be okay. But you're going to have those instances where, you have to protect that child. Biggest thing here is that the child and the caregiver histories don't match. And the other thing here is that behaviors are very telling when it comes to children, because children that are subject of long-term abuse have been coached and they have been trained to not say anything. And so sometimes it takes time to build trust, and you have to watch behaviors and things like that, because they can be very telling of a situation that's not safe for that child. So an example, again, just a test question that you guys can work through.